Hey guys, it's Madison. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a crazy couple of weeks, mostly because Leo, my chihuahua, has been having health problems lately. So we took him to the vet a couple times and we finally figured out that he has a UTI. We got him on antibiotics and he's been showing signs of improvement, so hopefully that's all that was wrong with him. It has been super stressful and I am just so relieved that he seems to be doing better and that he's not in pain anymore. Such relief, so I'm so glad that that is over. So today I'm going to be working on a cyber horror story. I've had this idea since last year, maybe the year before. I was arguing with people online about politics and things like that and social issues, and I just finally got so tired of it that I have just pretty much refrained completely from arguing with people online because it's just, it's so frustrating. It just feels like a waste of time. But anyways, so for a while though, I would just start blocking people whenever I finally had enough of the drama and the BS. And so I kind of had this idea for like a story where every time you block someone online, you block them in real life. They just disappear. So that's the story that I'm going to be working on today. I kind of have a vague idea of how it's going to end. I'm not entirely sure, but I sort of have an ending in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and do an outline before I start writing. I usually don't do that. I usually go ahead and just start writing, see what comes out of my brain, and then go back and do an outline to try to condense it and, get an idea of where I'm going. And then with some stories, I don't even do an outline, especially with like flash fiction, anything under 1,000 words, I tend to just write it and just see what happens. But for this story, I'm going to go ahead and start with an outline, mostly because there's a deadline coming up this Wednesday for an anthology. The theme is the internet, which I think is perfect for this story. The anthology doesn't pay that much. It's not particularly prestigious or anything. It's not like I've been trying to get published with this publisher for a while or anything like that. But it's just such a good theme and it fits the story perfectly. I feel like anybody that picks up an anthology about, internet horror, I feel like they would really like my story. So I think that it's really good fit for this anthology, so I'm going to try to write it. Like I said, it's Monday today, and then the deadline is Wednesday at midnight. So yeah, I'm probably insane for trying to make this deadline, but it's happened before where I wrote something, and then I submitted it sometimes the day of and it's gotten accepted. So yeah, I like to live dangerously. The plan is to get the outline done today, maybe the first 1,000 words tonight, and then hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to finish it, and then Wednesday I'll be able to just completely devote that day to editing it. We'll see. I'm thinking the story isn't going to be more than 4,000 words. The story that I have mapped out in my head seems pretty straightforward, so I'm thinking probably 5,000 words max. So I almost forgot to mention this story is tentatively titled Shadowban. For those of you that don't know, a shadowban is whenever a social media platform like Instagram heavily restricts who can see your content. Typically, this applies whenever you use a hashtag on one of your posts, and usually whenever you do that, it appears on a certain explore page so that people that don't usually follow you can actually see your posts. But whenever you're shadow banned, it doesn't do that, and the only people that can see your posts are followers. And even then, sometimes it'll restrict which of your followers can see your content. So the term shadow ban is actually going to have two meanings. The first referring to a literal shadow ban where people can't see the content that this person posts because they've been blocked, but it's also going to refer to what literally happens to these people who are disappearing as they're being blocked, which I can't get into because that's a huge spoiler for the story. So I'm going to go ahead and get started outlining and working on my first 1,000 words. Okay, so I just finished doing my outline, and I know I just said that I think it's going to be about 4,000 words, but now I'm thinking it's going to be about 6,000 words. A lot of stories that I've been writing seem to be falling into like the 6,000, 7,000 word range, which is fine because there's like, it's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited now. Like I was kind of excited, but I'm like really, really excited. Although I'm also really nervous now that I think about it because like 6,000 words in 2 days is a lot. Even for me, it's quite a lot. So I better go ahead and get started. Okay, so I think I might call it quits for today. I'm not sure. I'm still kind of in the groove, but I have 1,300 words written, which is really good for me, especially since I just started. But I think that the pressure of a Wednesday deadline has really put a fire under my butt. I'm going to take a quick break and get something to eat because I'm so hungry. and I'm really excited. I just noticed that one of the bushes in our backyard has bloomed. Like, it looks so beautiful, so I'm gonna go downstairs, eat, and then check that out before it gets dark. It looks really pretty. As you can see from the view in my office, that's the bush I'm talking about that fully bloomed like overnight. I'm gonna go outside and show you guys. You can get a better look. So this is what it looks like up close. It's actually been years since this has bloomed. It's so pretty. So I just talked with my mom and forgot that we had plans to watch All That Glitters and Hidden Jewel tonight. That's the last two movies in the VC Andrews Ruby Landry series. So I'm gonna go eat and watch those. Probably not gonna write any more tonight, even though I was feeling it. I was in the groove, but you know, I made plans and I really want to watch those movies. So I'm gonna go ahead and just call it a night. Gonna have a really long writing day tomorrow because I can tell this story is gonna be much longer than I thought it was. Probably at least 6,000 words. So yeah, it's gonna be a busy writing day tomorrow, but I'm excited. I'm really enjoying this story. Hey guys, so it is now day 2 of writing Shadowban. I was right last night. I did not want to do any more writing after I watched those movies and worked out. It was too late. And today I'm feeling a little less optimistic about being able to get it all done in time. There's just a lot of story left, and unfortunately a lot happens in this story. It takes place over at least several weeks, if not several months, and that's really difficult to pull off in a short story, especially without feeling like you're jumping around too much. It's gonna require a lot of careful editing to make sure that there's not too many scenes for such a short story, but the scenes actually feel full. I'm gonna go ahead and stop talking and get to work because I have a lot of writing to do and a lot of editing to do, and I only have like less than 48 hours at this point to do it. Okay, so it is 11 o'clock and I have 4,000 words written. There is so much story here and I still have so far to go. It's just, I'm not sure if it's going to end exactly the way I thought it was going to end. It might be a little bit different, but it's still going to be the same general ending. It's pretty much the same, it's just slightly different. But yeah, there's just so much. Like the characters, just, I still need to develop them. And I think I'll have time to do it. It's just, oh man, it's just so much more work. Quite a bit more than I was anticipating, because there's just a lot more twists and turns than I was anticipating too. Like suddenly my character is in one of the other characters' houses and she's going through her closet and stuff looking for clues as to how she got into the situation she's in. And I'm like, what are you doing, Madison? This wasn't in the outline, stop! But ultimately, I think that it was what was best for the story. Hopefully I'll still feel that way tomorrow and I won't feel like I just went on a tangent for no reason. I feel pretty good about everything that I wrote today, even though the story is going to be much longer than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to try to work out and try to get back to this story again tonight. We'll see how it goes. If I do, I probably won't end up vlogging. I'll probably just write a little bit right before I go to sleep. So we'll see what tomorrow holds and if I'll be able to finish this sucker and edit it before the deadline at midnight. So I'm on day 3 of writing Shadowban, the last day. Hopefully I'm going to finish it today. The deadline for this anthology that I want to submit to is at midnight. And now I know some anthologies will accept stories a few hours past midnight due to time zone differences and things like that, but I've never submitted to this publisher before, so I don't know if they accept stories after midnight. So I'm going to try to submit it by midnight. We'll see if that's possible. I got about a little bit over 4,000 words written last night. I'm thinking my ultimate goal is no more than 6,000 words, but you know, sometimes stories have a mind of their own and you just have to roll with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started because I still have a lot of writing left to do and I haven't even really started editing yet. I went ahead and read back over some of the stuff that I wrote the first day, and I remember thinking, oh, this is just garbage, it's just trash, but actually a lot of it was pretty good, so pretty polished actually. So I might actually be able to get this written and edited and submitted before midnight. One thing that really added to the word count and was something that I was not prepared for is the fact that one of my characters goes into another character's room and starts like snooping through her stuff, and she starts like finding out things about her that she didn't know and starts feeling sympathy for this person that she didn't like and still really doesn't like by the end of the story, but at least she kind of understands her a little bit more, and this person that she kind of like thought was evil in her mind. Well, she might still kind of be evil, but she just kind of like saw her almost as not even being human by like seeing where she grew up and things like that. It kind of humanizes her in her mind. So I think that that was important for the message of the story, which is trying to understand people that you don't agree with. At least I think that that's the message of the story. It was kind of what I was starting off with anyways. You know, it kind of upped the word count more than I was anticipating, and I still have so much more I need to write. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop talking about the story and get started writing. This is so frustrating. I'm really struggling with coming up with a final line. Like, I have the ending in mind. It's the same ending that I had originally envisioned, and it is perfect for the story. But just that final line, like, it is just escaping me, and it's so frustrating because I've written like 3 lines where I'm like, this is it. This is the final line. This is how I'm gonna end the story. And then it just doesn't feel right once I get to that point. So yeah. So far the story has been pretty free of problems, or at least big problems, except for the fact that it just keeps growing and growing and growing. But other than that, it's been pretty good to write. There hasn't been any like major hurdles. There hasn't been a lot of stuff I needed to research, because the majority of it is just her like, arguing with people about politics and having problems dealing with people that don't think the same way she does, and even people that do think the same way she does, but like she just gets into a lot of conflicts with people, and like just describing how frustrating it is before I get to the part where people start disappearing. So like none of it has required any research or anything. It's been very smooth sailing, but just getting that final scene, like I almost never have problems with the final scene or the final line, so this is kind of uncharted territory for me. Oh hey, and remember how I said, oh, this story will probably be 6,000 words max? I think my original estimate was 4,000, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be 6,000. Well, it's already at 6,000, so I'm thinking 7,000 minimum. So it is almost 1:30 in the morning, but I am finally done. My editing stage was very short, and I admit I was going back and editing while also writing new parts, because I kept realizing, oh wait, I need a transition scene between these 2 scenes, and I need to transition this, so it's just a mess, as last minute editing before a deadline often is. Anyways, the story ended up being 7,300 words, which is, if you remember, almost twice what I had anticipated writing for this story, so I think that it's good. I'm really happy with the finished product. It ended up being somewhat of a commentary on cancel culture, which I did not anticipate. I really kind of thought the overlying message was just going to be, try not to judge others so much, try not to judge them without knowing other people and knowing where they come from, which I do think ended up being one of the themes in the story. But I think more than anything, it's just kind of an unintentional commentary on cancel culture and how dangerous that can be. So, which was interesting because I didn't realize that until I was almost done with the story, so yeah. So I thought that it was interesting that I actually ended up using 3 real online arguments that I've gotten into in this story, just like kind of paraphrasing what I remember from those arguments, and they actually made it into the story. So that's kind of fun. Maybe fun isn't the right word, but it's nice to know that I didn't get into those arguments for nothing. They made their way into the story so that they can entertain you. So it's just, yeah, it's just nice to know, because whenever you spend a lot of time arguing with strangers online, as I have started to avoid doing for the most part. I say as I'm actually online arguing with someone, not consistently, but over the past couple days about, the new voting law in Georgia and stuff, and I'm not going to get into it in this video, but anyways, it's just really funny. I say that I don't do that much anymore, and I really don't, especially compared to what I used to do. But that's kind of what the story is about. It's about just kind of the pointlessness of arguing with strangers online, and it's kind of like poking fun at it. If you want to know what those arguments are about, you can check it out in the story, Shadowban, which will hopefully get accepted. I am exhausted. I am so exhausted. I woke up like pretty late today, so I really shouldn't be that tired, but just sitting at the computer writing constantly, mentally I am just so wiped right now. But I'm so happy too, because I wrote something, I like it, I think that it's meaningful, and I think that despite the fact that I wrote it in 3 days and it was really under a lot of pressure, I think that it's a really good story. I really like the finished product. So yeah, I'm just really happy with this story. I'm happy with how it turned out. I'm mostly happy with the process. I was a little frustrated with the ending at one point, but what I ended up, I think what it was, I just kept trying to drag the ending out, making it longer and longer, and eventually I just cut like the last 3 paragraphs of the ending, and I said, no, this is where it ends. And then I just rephrased one thing. I ended up connecting 2 sentences that apart didn't feel like a very conclusive final statement, but then once I added those 2 short sentences together, I was like, oh, that's it. That's the final line. It's perfect. So yeah, so once I had the final line, like the story really started coming together, and it was, well, it was a little bit frustrating trying to get some of those transition scenes, especially in the middle, because a lot happens in the story. It's a very fast-paced story, but overall it was a lot less frustrating than my last story, and yeah, I'm just really happy with the story, happy with the process. It was a really good writing night. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. I post writing vlogs, writing advice, book reviews, and horror commentary on this channel. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you later.